Okay, hello guys, hello guys. Okay, we still have 2 minutes. Okay, time's up, guys. So welcome back to today's course, which is the Sasmo little course, okay? So today's topic is called the parameter and area. So I'm your teacher list. Probably some of you know me and some of you not know me, okay? So now it's my name, okay? I'm called List and it is like the LISZT, okay? And I'm from NUS and I have some like several experiences in the data processing, mathematics, and computer science probably. So, okay. So I think you guys are very familiar with it, right? So like the previous Sasmo key topic live stream, it is on every Thursday in January, and we will hold it live from the 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on WeChat or on the YouTube. So pick your favorite platform, okay? So I think you guys are also familiar with it, right? So like the book A and book B and what they are used for, I think you are very, 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 very familiar with them. So let's go. So back to today's course. Today's topic is called the parameter and area. Why I need to teach you guys for the parameter and area? Why? Let's see. In the past 6 years, from the 2020 to the 2025, in the 6 years in Sasmo, they are all contain the topic of the area and parameter, okay? So, which means it is very, 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 very important. So if you guys can learn the topic of today very, very perfectly, probably you can get the score in Sasmo, right? So now, let's go. What is the parameter? Do you guys still remember the concept of the parameter? Parameter, it is the total length of all sides around an enclosed 2D shape, right? So for example, like a triangle here. Hey, can you guys find out the parameter of it? Of course, right? Use how long this side is, plus this side, then solve, right? So then we know the parameter of it. But what if the shape is like this? Can you guys find out the parameter of it now? No, right? Because it is not an enclosed 2D shape, right? So actually, we can only find out the parameter of an enclosed 2D shape, and which is the total length of all sides, right? So one thing, don't forget the unit, okay? The unit for the parameter is cm and m, okay? So what's the name of it? Do you guys still remember what's the name of this graphic? It is called the rectangle, right? So for this side, it is called the length. For this side, it is called the breadth. This side, length. This side, breadth. So I want to find out the parameter of the rectangle. How can I find it? Use the length to plus length, then plus breadth. Then we solve, right? But this process, it is very, very what? Very, very complex, right? So can we simplify it? Of course, right? Probably we can only find one length plus one breadth, then times 2. Then we get the parameter of it, right? So one breadth plus one length, it is like a what? It is like a shape of letter L, right? So I call it L-shaped method because here is one L, which is length plus breadth. Then I times 2. Then I find out the parameter of the rectangle, okay? So did you guys find out which sides are equal? Which sides are equal? Opposite sides are equal, right? Because length and length here, breadth and breadth here, right? They had the same name. So obviously the opposite sides are equal. What about this one? What about this one? What's the name of it? It's called the square, right? So this side is called the length, this side is called the length, this side is called the length, and this side is also called the length. So can you guys find out the parameter of it? Of course, right? Very, very easy. We only need to use the length plus length plus length, then plus length. So, right? Then we can simplify the equation into what? Into length times 4, because I have 4 lengths, 4 sides here, right? So I want to find out the parameter of the square. I only need to use the length times 4. Then we get the answer, right? So for the square, can you guys tell me all sides of these squares are what? All sides of the squares are equal, are same, right? So, okay. Now, let's look at this one. What is the parameter of this square? This is a square, okay? So can you guys tell me I need to choose option A or option B? Option A, right? So now let's see. Let's see. For one side, how long it is? 7, right? And it is a square. So I only need to use the 4 to times 7. Then we get the answer, which is 28, right? So we need to choose the option A. Okay, so now let's look at this one. What is the parameter of this rectangle? What is the parameter of this? Let's see. I need to choose option A or option B. Option C. Okay, let's see, huh? So I need to use the 10 to plus 7 first, right? Use the length to plus breadth. Then I find out how long 1L is, right? Then I need to times 2. Then let's solve it. It is 17 times 2. So the answer is 34, right? So for this question, the answer is option B, right? Easy. What about this one? Now, we do not know the length here, but we know the parameter of the rectangle, which is 24. And we also know the breadth, which is 2. So can you guys find out the length of the rectangle? How can we find it? How can we find it? Do you guys still remember for the rectangle, it means we need to use 2L plus together. Then we find out the parameter of it, right? So I want to find out how long 1L is. I need to use the 24 to divide it by 2, which is equal to 12. Then I know that, oh, for 1L, which means length plus breadth, which is 12. And we know that how long breadth is, right? So I want to find out the length. Can you guys solve it? Easy, right? We only need to use the 12 to minus 2, which is equal to 10, right? So actually, the length of the rectangle is option B, right? Good job, guys. Good job. Easy, huh? So now, what about this one? Actually, same, right? Same. The parameter of the square is 36. What is the length of each side of the square? Very, very easy, right? Because we know that for these 4 sides, they are all equal, right? So what is the answer? We only need to use 36 to divide it by 4, right? So actually, the answer is 9, right? So we need to choose the option, right? So now, what about this one? We know how to find out the parameter of the square. We know how to find out the parameter of the rectangle. But what's this? Is this the rectangle? No. Is this the circle? No, right? So how can we find out the parameter of this shape? Let's see. Do you guys notice the name here? It is called the push-out method, right? How can I use this method in this shape? Let's see, huh? So for this short line, I want to move it. I want to push it. Push to here. Then for this short line, I want to move it to the right. Oh, so now for this shape, it is a rectangle, right? And we also know how long the breadth is. We know how long the length is. Can you guys solve the parameter of this rectangle now? Of course, right? We only need to use the breadth to plus length, then times 2, right? So it is 14 times 2. The answer is 28. Am I finished? No, right? Why not? Don't forget the unit, guys. Don't forget unit. So actually, the answer for this question is 28, right? Good job, guys. Good job. Very, very easy, huh? What about this one? How can I use the push out method here? How can I use it? Actually, same, right? I want to move all the short side lines here to move it into a regular shape. Then we can solve it, right? So let's move. For this line, I need to move it to where? To the left, to the right, to the bottom, to the top, right? Then what about this short line? I need to move it to the right. And for this short line, I need to move it to the top. And for this short line, I need to move it to the right, right? So now it is a regular shape, right? So it is a regular shape. It is a rectangle. Can you guys find out the parameter of the rectangle? Of course, right? Really, really easy. So we only need to use the 5, which is breadth, to plus length, then times 2, right? So it is 15 times 2. The answer is 30. Am I finished? No, right? Don't forget what? Unit, okay? Don't forget the unit. So the answer for this question is 30, okay? So now let's look at this shape. Wow, it is really, really, really complex, right? So how can I use the push-out method in this shape? Let's see. Let's see. So for this short line, I need to move it where? Should I move it to the top? No, right? I need to move it to the bottom. Why? Why? Because actually the goal of our using the push-out method, I want to fill in all the gaps, right? So if I move this short line to the top, can I fill in the gaps? Actually not, right? So I want to move it to the bottom. And for this one, what about this short line? I need to move it to the right, right? What about this short line? I need to move it where? Still move it to the bottom? Actually not, right? We have solved it. So actually, we need to move this short line to the top, right? What about this one? Well, this short line, I need to move it where? To the left? To the right? No, still to the top, right? What about this short line? What about this one? Move it here? No, right? Move it here. And finally, what I'm going to do, I need to move this short line to the right. Right? Now we have used the push-out method here. So it is a regular or irregular shape now. It is a regular shape, right? So how long it is? How long it is? Is it 8? Is it a square? No, right? For this length, we need to use the 2 to plus 3, right? 2 plus 3, then plus 4, right? Then we find out how long the length is. How long is it? How long it is? 9, right? 9 what? 9 centimeters. Okay? Don't forget unit, guys. So I know that for this length, it is 9 centimeters. What about the breadth? What about the breadth? We know that it is 8, right? Because it is on the figure. We do not need to find it out. The question tell us that it is 8. So now I want to find out the parameter of this shape now. How can I do? what can I do? I need to use the breadth to plus length, then times 2, right? So now calculate 17 times 2. What is the result? 34, right? Am I finished? Am I finished? Don't forget what, guys? Don't forget the unit, right? So 34 centimeters, right? So the answer for this question is 34 centimeters, right? So now, do you guys know how to push out, how to use the push out method now? Yes? No? No? Yes? Okay. So now, let's see. What about the area? We know how to find out the parameter of the rectangle, right? We know how to find out the parameter of the square. What about the area? Let's see. What is area? What is area? So actually, area, it is the total space taken up by a flat surface or shape of an object. What does this sentence mean? What does this sentence mean? For example, like, look at me, huh? For example, like, here is a rectangle, right? Here is a rectangle. So all these things, all the things that in my rectangle, it is the area, okay? Okay, all the things in the rectangle, it is the area. So that is what it is meaning. Area is the total space taken up by a flat surface or shape of an object. Okay, so now let's look at this question. The grid below is consisted of the identical small squares with a side length of 1 centimeter and an area of 1 centimeter square. Oh, for this unit, probably you haven't seen, okay? It is called the centimeter square. What does it mean? I will tell you later, okay? So complete the table and filling in the blanks. Okay, so I want to fill in the table here. Now, let's see. What have the question told us? It tells us for one block, the length is 1, and the area of the block is also 1 centimeter square. So can you guys tell me what is the length of the rectangle 1? How long it is for the length? Let's count, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Oh, so there are 5 blocks. It means it is 5 centimeters, right? So for the length, it is 5. What about the width? What about the breadth? Let's count, right? 1, 2, 3. Oh, so actually the width of it, it is 3 centimeters, right? So, well, let's look at the rectangle 2 here. Let's look at the rectangle 2 here. So for the length, how long it is now? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 blocks, right? 4 blocks means what? Means 4 centimeters, right? What about the width? 1, 2. Oh, so the width of it is 2. So I have a question. What about the area of the rectangle 1? What about the area of it? We can count it, right? Because we know that for one block, it is 1 centimeter square, right? We know that one block area, it is 1 centimeter square. So I only need to count how many blocks are there in the rectangle 1. We know that how large it is, right? We know the area of it. So now let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, right? So the area of rectangle 1, which is 15. Have you guys find out the relationship between 5, 3, and 15? What is the relationship between these three numbers? What is the relationship between them? Oh, we know that 5 times 3, it is equal to 15, right? So probably for the method, we want to find out the area. We only need to use the length times width, then we find out the area. Okay, so now let's check if it is right or wrong, okay? So now let's look at the rectangle 2. We know that the length is 4, the width is 2. So use the method that we have learned, probably A will be 8, right? Because 4 times 2, it is equal to 8. So now let's count if it is 8 or not, okay? Now let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Oh, so there are 8 blocks. So the area for the rectangle 2, it is 8. right? What about the rectangle 3? The length of it is what? The length of it is what? I need to remind you guys one thing is that the length, it is the long side, okay? The length, it is the long side, and the breadth, the width, it is the short side, okay? So for rectangle 3, where is the long side? Still on the top. The length of it is still 4. Let's see. If the length of it, it is 4, okay? The length of it, it is 4. And the breadth of it, it is 5. What's going on? Why the width it is longer than length, guys? We know that the length it is the long side, right? And for the width it is the short side. So probably we do the wrong things here, right? So actually the length for the rectangle 3 is what? It is here, right? So actually how long it is? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So the length for the rectangle 3, it is 5. What about the width? Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So actually the width of it, it is 4. Oh, so we know the width, we know the length. Can you guys find out the area of the rectangle 3? Of course, right? Use the length times width, then we find out the result. We find out the answer. So who can tell me what is the answer for 5 times 4? It is equal to 20, right? It is equal to 20. So now we know how to find out the area now, right? And don't forget the concept of the area. Area is the total space taken up by a flat surface or shape of an object. Okay? So now here is the summary, okay? How to find out the perimeter of the rectangle? How to find out the perimeter of rectangle? Do we need to use the length to times breadth? No, right? We need to use the length plus breadth and times 2. Then we can find out the perimeter, right? What about the area? Area is very easy, right? We only need to use the length times breadth. Then we find out the area, right? Really, really easy. What about the square? I want to find out the area of the square. How can I find it out? I only need to use the side length times side length, right? So then I find out the area of the square. Then I want to find out the perimeter of the square. Can I still use the side length to times the side length? Actually not, right? Because I need to use the side length to times 4. Then I find out the perimeter of the square, right? So there are 4 equations. There are 4 methods here. Okay, so don't be messy, guys. Okay, so here's the practice. What is the area? What is the area of the square here? Who can tell me? I need to choose option A, option B, or probably option C, huh? What is the answer? Let's see. For the area, can I use the 7 times 4, which is equal to 28? Then I find out the answer? No, right? No, right? Because this 28 is what? It is the perimeter, guys. It is the perimeter, okay? So don't be messy. If we want to find out the perimeter, we need to use the 7 times 4. But if I want to find out the area, I need to use the 7 times 7, right? So the answer, it is equal to 49. So I need to choose option B, right? What about this one? What is the area of the rectangle here? Okay, so now let's see, huh? Teacher list want to solve it. Teacher list like 7 plus 10 then times 2. So the answer which is equal to 34. Am I correct? No, right? What is the question asking about? Area, right? What is this? It is the perimeter, right? So actually, if we want to find out the area, we only need to use the 10 times 7. Then we find out the answer, right? Which is very easy, right? Do you guys like the area? Of course, right? Because it is very simple to find out the answer. So actually, the result for this is 7, right? So we need to choose the option A, right? So now let's look at this one. Oh, what's this? Is it a square? No. Is it a rectangle? No, right? So how can we find out the area of it? For this shape, it looks like a gun, right? So how can we find out the area of this gun? So we need to use a method. Do you guys notice the name here? For this method, it is actually called split method. Why I call it the split method? Okay, imagine I have a scissor in my hand, okay, and I want to cut this gun into two shapes. I want to cut it into two shapes, and for these two shapes, probably they can be the thing that we can find out the area. Okay, so how can I cut it? How can I split it? Let's see. I want to cut it here. Why? Why teacher Liz want to cut this gun here? Why? Oh, because if I cut it here, this gun will turn to two rectangle, right? Do you guys know how to find out the area of the rectangle? Of course, right? Really, really easy. Okay, so I give these two rectangles the name. For the first one, it is called the A. And for the second one, it is called the B, okay? So do you guys know how to find out the area of rectangle A? Of course, right? Easy. We know that for the rectangle A, the breadth is 2 centimeters, right? Because the figure told us that. What about the length? What about the length here? Is it 4? Is it 4? No, right? Because 4, it is actually here. And for this one, it is 1 centimeters, right? So actually, for the length of the rectangle A, it is 5 centimeters, right? So we know the breadth, we know the length of the rectangle A. Can you guys find out the area of it? Of course, right? Use the breadth times length. Then we find out the answer. So what is the result for 5 times 2? Really, really easy, right? Do the calculation. The answer is 10, right? What about the area of rectangle B? What about the B? Oh, we know that how long the breadth is, right? We know how long the length is. So can you guys find out the area? Really easy, right? Use the 5 to times 1. What is the result? 5 times 1, what is the result? 5, right? So we know the area of A now, and we know the area of B now. Can you guys find out the total area of this shape? Can you guys find out the total area of this gun now? Of course, right? Use the area of A to plus the area of rectangle B. Then we find out the answer. So the answer is 10 plus 5, which is equal to 15, right? So the answer for this question is 15. Easy, right? So this method is called the splitting method. Okay. Hey, what about this one? Same shape, right? Same shape. This is the same figure, right? It is still look like a gun, right? But now, what is difference? What is the difference between this one and the previous question? The name here. Because I want to use a second method, which is called the filling and cut method. Why I call it the filling and cut? Probably I need to do two operations, right? So I need to first do the filling in, then I do the cut. So now let's see how can I filling in and how can I cut? Do you guys still remember the push out method? Yes, right? So actually I draw the dotted lines here similar as the push out method, but only the dot line is same, okay? The method is very, very, very different because for this one, we want to find out the area. And for the push-out method, we need to find out the parameters, right? So for this one, I want to give this small rectangle a name. It is called the rectangle C, okay? Can you guys find out the area of the big rectangle here? Probably yes, right? So if we find out the area of the big rectangle here, and we can also find out the area of the rectangle C here, then use the big to minus small. Then we find out the area of the gun shape, right? That's it. So now let's use the method, which is called the fill and cut method, okay? So What is the length of the big rectangle? What is the length of it? Is it 2? No, right? Because for this one, it is 2. But for this one, it is 5, right? So actually, how long it is? It is 5 plus 2 equal to 7 centimeters, right? What about the width of the big rectangle? What about this one? What about this one? What about this one? Is it 4? Still no, right? Because for this one, it is 4. And for this one, it is 1 centimeters, right? So actually, the breadth of this big rectangle, it is 5 plus 4 plus 1 equal to 5 centimeters, right? Okay, so now we know the length of the big rectangle. We know the width of the big rectangle. Can you guys find out the area of it? Of course, right? Really easy. We only need to use the 5 times 7. Then we find out the answer, which is 35, right? Easy lah. Then we find out the area of the big rectangle. Can you guys find out the area of the rectangle C here? Of course, it's still easy, right? Because we know the length of it. We still need know the breadth of it, right? We know the breadth, we know the length. Can you guys find out the area of C? Of course, right? Use the 4 to times 5. Then we find out the answer, which is 20. Okay, so now I know the area of the big rectangle. I also know the area of the rectangle C. So how can I find out the area of the shape? Use the big to minus small, right? So I need to use the 35 to minus 20. Then the answer is 15, right? Same answer, right? But there are 2 different methods. Okay, so why teacher list teach you guys 2 different methods here? Because probably in Sasmo, we can only use the method 1. And probably we can only use the method 2. And sometimes, fortunately, we can use the method 1 or method 2. So you guys need to pay attention on it, right? So for which kind of the question we can use method 1, which kind of method we can use the method 2. Okay, so now let's look at this question. Okay, so look at the question. The width of the shaded portion is 1 meter. The total shaded area is what? Is what? Let's see. So for this kind of question, can I use the splitting method? Can I? Can? Can, right? Because if I cut it here for the rectangle A, can we guys find out the area of it? Of course, right? And for the rectangle B, can you guys find out the area of it? Of course, right? So then if I find out the area of the A, and we also can find out the area of B, then plus them together, then we know the total shaded area is what, right? Hold on. Teacher list have a question for you guys. Why I do not cut the shaded portion here? Why? Why? Because if I cut it here, I turn the A and B into what? Into 2 still irregular shape, right? So for the irregular shape, can you guys find out the area of it? Of course not, right? We only know how to find out the area of the rectangle, and we only know how to find out the area of the squares, right? So no, we need to turn them into a rectangle or square, right? So now let's see. I want to find out the area of A. What is the answer? We know the breadth of it, right? What about the length? What about the length of rectangle A? 6, right? Because the question told us that this line is equal to 6 meters, right? So for this one, it is 6 meters. Oh, we know the breadth, we know the length. Can you guys find out the area of it? Of course, right? We can use the breadth times length. Then we find out the answer, which is 6 meters squared, right? Then what about the area of B? What about the area of B? Do you guys know the breadth of it? Of course, right? The figure told us it is 1 meter. What about the length? What about the length? 4, 6? No, right? Because for this one, it is 4. What about this one? How long it is? 1 meter, right? So we need to use the 4 to plus 1. Then we know how long the length of B is, right? So actually, it is 5 meters, right? So now we know the breadth of the rectangle B, and we also know the length of it. Can you guys find out the area? Of course, right? Use the 1 to times 5, which is equal to 5 meter squared. Okay, so now we know the area of A. We also know the area of B. Can you guys find out the total area of them? Of course, right? Use the A to plus B. Then we find out the answer. So we only need to use the 6 to plus 5, which is equal to 11 meter square, right? So the answer for this question is 11. Easy or not, guys? Easy or not? Easy, right? We only need to cut them. We only need to use the scissor in our hand to cut them into 2 regular shapes. Then plus them together. Then we find out the answer, right? So what about this one? What about this one? Which method should we use? Let's see, huh? So first, I want to try the fill and cut method, okay? I want to filling in it first. Let's see. How can I fill all the gaps? Filling in, right? Filling in here, and here, and here, right? So now we turn it into a rectangle, right? So we can find out the area of it. But then we still need to find out what? We still need to find out the area of this small rectangle, right? Do you guys know how long it is? Do you guys know how long it is? No, right? The figure do not tell us that how long it is. Do you guys know how long it is? Still no, right? So we cannot use the fill and cut method in this question, okay? So then we need to turn to the next method, which is called the splitting method, right? So how can I cut it? How can I cut it? Let's see. Let's first focus on the figure here, okay? We know what? We know the length here. We know the breadth here. So I want to cut it into the shape that we can use the 8 and 6. How can I cut it? How? Let's see. Let's see. I can cut it into this one. I divide it into 3 rectangles. For this one, I gave it a name. It is A. For this one, I gave it a name. It is B. And for this one, it is C. Okay? So first, teacher list question is, do you guys know how to find out the area of B? Can? Can? Yes, right? We know the breadth. We know the breadth, which is here, which is 2. And we also know the length of it, which is 6, right? So we only need to use the breadth to times length, which is equal to 12, right? So this is the area of B. Don't forget the unit, meter square, okay? But what about the A here? What about the rectangle A? Do you guys know how to find out the length? No, right? We do not know how long it is. Do you guys know how long it is? No, right? So how can I find out the area of them? How? No thoughts, right? Probably the question is going wrong, right? Actually, no. Okay, so what if? First, we focus on the rectangle A here. Okay, so here is the rectangle A, and we know the breadth, which is 2, and we do not know the length. Then I move this rectangle C here. I combine them. I combine these 2 little rectangles into a very, very large rectangle. So now, do you guys know how long the length of this big rectangle is? Do you guys know how to find out the length of the combination of A and C? Yes, right? Why yes? Why teacher Lee said yes? Let's see. We know for this breadth, it is 2, right? We also know what? We also know for this one, for this large length, it is 8. So can you guys find out the sum of this line and this line? Of course, right? We only need to use the 8 to minus 2. Then we find out it is equal to 6 meters, right? So actually, we know the length of the combination of A and C, which is 6. Okay? Okay, so now focus on the combination here. We know the breadth, we know the length. Can you guys find out the area of it? Of course, right? Use the breadth, then times length, then we find out the area, all right? So we only need to use the 2 to times 6, which is equal to 12 meter square, right? Why 8 meter square? Because it is the area, right? Because the unit for the area, it is 12 meter square. Okay, so now we know the total area of A and C, which is equal to 12. And we also know that the area of B, it is equal to 12. Can you guys find out the total area of A, B, and C? Of course, right? We only need to use the 12 to plus 12, which is equal to 24 meter square, right? So the answer for this question is 24, right? So this is the answer. Easy or not? Actually, it is not easy, right? So now let's do a quick review of this kind of question, okay? Because it is a little bit difficult, right? So if we see the very irregular shape like this one, we need to do what? We need to split it, right? We need to split it into some regular shape. Then we can find out the area of them one by one. But sometimes the question do not tell us enough information. For example, like this one, right? We will never know how long the length of A is, right? But we can do a really high level view, okay? We look at from the high level. Let's see, we know how long the total thing is. And we also know that how long this one is. So we use the huge one to minus this one. We will know the combination length of A and C, right? Then we can do the calculation and find out the area, right? So now let's move to the question here. This is the final question, and it is also the Sasmo similar question, okay? So if you guys do it correctly, probably you can get the score. You can get the mark in Sasmo, right? Okay, so now let's read the question. A carpet, it is placed in the center of a living room, and a border of 2 meters is left around the carpet. What is the area of the border? Oh, how can we solve it? How can I figure it out? Probably we can use the method which is called the filling and cut. And we can also use the method which is called the splitting method, right? So now let's see. First, teacher list want to try the fill and cut method, okay? How can I fill it? Should I fill it? Is it a regular or irregular shape? It is a regular or irregular shape. It is a regular shape, right? So if it is a regular shape, we do not need to do the filling operation, right? Because it is a regular one. We only need to fill in the irregular shape, right? So if it is a regular shape, then what should we do next? We need to cut, right? Who cut who? Who minus who? The big one minus the small one, right? Because we want to find out the border here, which is the white one, right? So we need to use the area of the big rectangle to minus the shaded one. Then we find out the area of the border, right? So now let's try the method one, which is the fill and cut method. Let's see. What is the area of the big rectangle? What is the area of the big rectangle? So first, we know the length of it. It is 16, right? We know the length. What about the breadth? What about the breadth? Have the speaker told us that? No, right? We only know for this one, it is 2 meters. For this one, it is 2 meters. What about this one? Actually, we know how long it is, right? Because the question is saying that a border of 2 meters is left around the carpet, right? So for this one, it is still 2 meters, right? What about this one? What about this one? How long it is? Still 2 meters, right? Okay, so now can you guys find out the breadth of this rectangle? Of course, right? It is, we only need to use the 2 to plus 9, then plus 2. Then we'll find out the breadth of it, right? So we need to use the 2 to plus 9, then plus 2, which is equal to what? Equal to 13 meters, okay? 13 meters. Then, am I finished? What am I looking for? Am I looking for the breadth? No, right? I'm looking for the area, guys, right? Now, we know the breadth. We know the length. Can you guys find out the area of the big rectangle here? Of course, right? We only need to use the breadth to times length. Then we will find out the area of it. So what is the answer of it? We need to use the vertical multiplication, right? So actually the answer of it is what? Go, go, go. Come on, do the calculation, guys. What is the answer of it? 208 meter square, right? So, we know the area of the big rectangle here. It is 208. Then I want to find out the small. I want to find out the area of the shaded rectangle. Hey, do you guys know how to find out the area of it? Of course, right? It is very easy, right? Because we know the breadth here. What about the length? What about the length? What about the length here? Oh, we only need to use the 16 to minus 2, then minus 2. Then we find out how long it is, right? So we only need to use the 16 to minus 2, then minus 2. What is the result? It is equal to 12 meters, right? So actually, the length of this little one, it is equal to 12. Oh, now we know the length, we know the breadth. Can you guys find out the area of it? Of course, only need to use the length to times breadth. Then we will know the area of the small rectangle, right? So what is the result? What is the result? Use the vertical multiplication. So can you guys find out the area? Can you guys find out the area of the small rectangle? Do the calculation. Do it quickly, guys. Go, go, go. What is the answer? It is equal to 108, right? Meter square. Don't forget the unit, okay? The unit for the area, it is the meter square, okay? So why it is meter square? I will tell you later, okay? After I finish this question. Okay, so now we know the area of the big rectangle. We know the area of the small rectangle. Can you guys tell me what is the area of the border here? Easy, right? Use the big to minus small, right? Use the 208 to minus 108. Then we will find out the answer. We will know the area of the border here, which is equal to 100 meter square, right? So now, why the unit for the area? It is meter square. Why? Okay, so teacher Liz will tell you that actually the meter square, we can write it into meter times meter. So now, why the unit for the square, it is meter square? Why? Because we know that if we want to find out the area we need to use the length to times breadth or use the length to times length, right? What is the unit for the length? What is the unit for the length? Meter or centimeter, right? What is the unit for the breadth? Meter or centimeter, right? So then if I times them, then they will become meters times meters, right? So that's why it is the meter square, okay? So guys, remember the unit for the area, it is the meter square or centimeter square. And for the perimeter, the unit is meter or centimeter, okay? So hold on. Can I use this splitting method in this question? Can I? Probably yes, right? So how can I use the split method in this question? Let's see. So first, if I want to use the splitting method, I need to cut, right? Imagine, we had the scissor in our hand, right? I need to cut this border. How can I cut it? First, look at the figure. We know what? We know the length, which is 16, right? So I want to use it. I really, really want to use it because this is the thing that we know from the question, right? So I want to use it. So how can I cut this border? Then I can still use this 16. I need to cut it here, right? I need to cut the border like this. Then the length of this large rectangle, it is still 16, right? And the length for this short rectangle is 9, which are all on the figure, right? We are using all the information that the question is telling us, right? It is very, very, very good. Okay, so now what is the area for the rectangle A here? What is the area of it? Okay, we know the length of it. It is 16, right? What about the breadth? The question telling us, right? It is 2 meters, right? So we know the breadth, we know the length. Can you guys find out the area of A? Can? Of course, right? We only need to use the breadth times length, then we find out the area, right? So we only need to use the 2 to times 16, which is the length. Then we will find out the area of it, right? So what is the answer for 2 times 16? 1,000, 1 million, 10 million? No, right? 32 meters, right? Why it is meter? Because we are finding the area, right? So the unit, it is meter square, right? Don't forget the square, guys. The unit for the area, it is meter square, okay? Okay, so now what about the area of the rectangle B? What is the area of it? Do we know the length of the rectangle B? Of course, right? It is 9. Question telling us it's 9, guys. What about the breadth? 2, right? The question tells us it is 2. So we know the length, we know the breadth. Can you guys find out the area of it? Of course, right? Use the 2 to times 9, which is equal to what? Tell me the answer, guys. 2 times 9, what is the result? 18, right? Meter? No, right? Because the area unit is what? Meter square, right? So now we know the area of A, we know the area of B. Hold on. Do I really need to find out the area of this one? We do not need to find it out actually. Why? Because the area of this small rectangle, it is same as the rectangle A, right? So we only need to use the 32, which is the area of A, to times 2. Then plus the area of B. What about this one? Oh, this one area, it is also same as the B, right? So we only need to use the 18, which is the area of B, to times 2, right? Then we will find out the total area of the border. Okay, so what is the answer for this large expression? Do the calculation, guys. Tell me the answer. What is the answer? What is the answer? We need to calculate the times first, right? Then calculate the plus. So what is the answer? Still 100, right? So actually, because method 1, the answer is 100. And so for method 2, it's still 100, right? Okay. So for this kind of question, we can use the method which is called the fill and cut. We can also use the method which is the splitting method, right? So if you guys see this kind of question in your Sasmo, you can choose your favorite method first and try if your favorite method works or not. If your method works, then everything is perfect, right? But if your favorite method it is not working, you need to turn to the next method, right? Because we can use two methods. We have two weapons to solve it, right? So, okay, answer for this question, which is 100. Okay, easy or not? Actually, for this one, it is a little bit easy, huh? Compared with the previous one. Okay, so now here is the summary of today's course. Okay, so for the rectangle, if I want to find out the parameter of it, I need to use which method? Length times breadth? Length times breadth? No, right? If I want to find out the parameter, I need to use the length to plus breadth, then times 2. Don't forget times 2, guys, because there are 1L, 2L here, right? So we need to use the length to plus breadth and times 2, right? What if I want to find out the area of the rectangle? Should I still use the breadth to plus length? Actually, no, right? I only need to use the breadth to times length. Then I find out the area of the rectangle, right? What about the square? What about the square? If I want to find out the parameter of it, I need to do what? Use the side length to plus side length and times 2? No, right? Because it is square, right? For all these four sides, they are all equal. They are all same, right? So I only need to use the side length times 4. Then I find out the parameter of it, right? So what about the area? What if I want to find out the area of the square now? Should I still use the side length times 4? No, right? Use the side length times side length. Then I find out the area of the square. Okay, so I think you guys all know how to use these 4 equations here. Okay, there are 4 equations here. Don't be messy, guys. Don't be messy. You need to focus on what is the question asking about. If it is asking about the area, we need to use who to times who. If the question is asking about the parameter, we need to use the method here. Okay, don't be messy, guys. Okay, so that's all for today's course. And I need to tell you guys one thing more. It is the P3 Sasmo core model analyze. It is held on the February 3rd, 10th, and 24th, which is all on the Tuesday. Okay, and the time it is from the 4:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. And now you guys can see the course on the app. I think you guys all get the app on your phone, right? So it is called the Think Academy Student App. Okay, so it is not on the YouTube, it is not on the WeChat, okay? It is on the app. So we will use which book? The blue book, okay? Don't forget to use it. And this course is for the all long-term course students, okay? And it also had the playback, guys. So that's all for today. See you guys on the next class. Bye-bye.